Google is always tossing around some new updates. I think you hinted at one. You have a sense that there's another one coming up. How do you re-strategize depending on those updates? Is it kind of like a drop everything and restart, or I know you have to kind of wait and see what's actually working, what's the bigger impact on our strategies, but yeah, I feel like even online you see people kind of just get annoyed at this point when updates come out in 2024. I think just a lot of more changes with AI and how we have to restructure our content to meet new criteria. So maybe we could address both those points. But let's start with the core updates and what you think has changed since you started now all the way to 2024, all these updates, what it means for the work we do.
Yeah, so the real watershed moment, you got to go back to September 2023 with the helpful content update.
Yes.
This was something that Google had been kind of experimenting with for about a year. So I think the first helpful content update was September 2022, and then the big one was September 2023. And this was a death sentence for a lot of publishers.
Yeah.
And a lot of websites have never come back from this.
Because they had done the traditional form of like, well, this is not traditional, like keyword stuffing and like trying to...
Well, yeah, I mean,
Because that's not helpful to the reader, frankly, if you're always just like, I don't know, it's not engaging content is what I want to say. So the helpful content, I think, is pretty good that they're making these new standards, or they're setting new standards in place, but...
Yes, you're right. I mean, look, if you ask these publishers, they would say, no, my content was helpful. And,
yeah.
you know, it's based on first-hand experience and that sort of thing. And a lot of people think what Google did in September 23 is unfair. And John Mueller, who's the Google search liaison, he's even kind of hinted at this, that maybe there'll be a way back for some of these websites. But I think if you...
some really tanked, then
they're just gone. They're almost de-indexed, a lot of these websites. I mean, it really was a death sentence for a lot of publishers.
Yeah.
And I think the commonalities among the websites that were affected were, it seemed to be kind of niche interest affiliate is just dead.
Yeah.
MFA websites that are just stuffed with ads seem to be kind of victims of this as well.
Yeah.
Anything where someone purported to be an expert or someone with first-hand experience, but it was kind of clear that they weren't, then that website was done. So any kind of product review website where if you didn't have a picture of that product in your house, in your hand, that was almost a kind of signal to say you haven't actually experienced that.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, and that goes back to EEAT.
Yeah.
It's kind of what Google wants, and that seems to be the core focus of that helpful content update. But the problem with it is there's a lot of publishers out there who were hit by it, traffic went literally to zero within the space of a few weeks. And we're almost a year on now, and there isn't one single recorded case of a recovery. And there's a lot of people out there who are kind of SEO consultants, experts, people like Lily Ray, Glenn Gabe, Kevin
Lily
Indick.
Ray is good, yeah.
They're out there trying to find an example of a website that's recovered from this, and there isn't one. So that helpful content update, if you're a publisher out there and you weren't impacted by that, you better, thank the Lord, because this has ended businesses, it's ended careers, it's ended livelihoods.
Yeah.
It really was a massive, massive change. So we kind of go from that, and that's really the context of kind of SEO in 2024, is that the hangover from the helpful content update. And then you go into the March 2024 core update.
Yeah.
This hit us a little bit, I'll be honest, not a catastrophe, maybe sort of 10, 15% traffic losses, recovered a little bit since then, but it was quite an aggressive update.
You spotted and like a pattern that you could say, okay, this is where we need to improve, or is it just kind of blindly thinking, let's go back to our roots, what we know works from an SEO standpoint, and see if that helps us improve, or maybe up with this new video strategy, for example, let's see if that helps us regain some lost keywords, or I don't know what you've spotted that you're like, that's interesting that this is taking a dip, but can you spot why that's the case? Or
yeah, so when we're impacted kind of negatively in a core update, I mean, the first thing to do is don't panic.
Yeah, for sure.
Because a lot of the time, Google will kind of correct. If they've gone a bit far in the update, they'll kind of correct things, and you can recover a little bit. So there's no need to panic. One thing I really like to do is use the position tracking in SEMrush.
Yeah.
Add competitors in. So take Product Marketing Alliance, for example. I'm pretty clear on who our kind of main keyword competitors are.
Yeah.
So you can kind of add them in, and you can look at visibility and share of voice and this sort of thing. So the first thing to do is do that, set that up, and you can kind of see, okay, right, if we've dipped, who's kind of risen?
Yeah.
And the funny thing was, in the March update, I looked at our kind of typical competitors, HubSpot, etc. They hadn't gone, we'd lost visibility, but they hadn't gained it. So I couldn't kind of figure out what was going on. And then it kind of dawned on me, it was actually Reddit had taken a lot of these
Reddit's
keywords.
taken over quite a few, yeah.
Yeah, and they've got this tie-up with Google
They've
now.
always quietly been in the background, though, I feel.
Yeah, and Google's prioritizing them now. They've got this link up, so I think Google's kind of Gemini AI stuff can be trained on Reddit conversations for AI overviews and other things. Reddit has now blocked Bing from crawling the website, so
Really?
you won't be able to get new Reddit conversations through Bing anymore. That won't be part of the index. So there's some kind of sketchy stuff going on with Google and Reddit, but they've certainly. So anything like product marketing interview tips, revenue marketing interview tips, things like that we would have been ranking really high for, Reddit is now maybe number one for that. There's an opportunity there for SEO. I mean, but then, the risk is the SEOs just ruin Reddit next, like we've already ruined the internet,
Yeah.
So I don't know whether Google kind of wants people to do that. But yeah, so Reddit's something that you've kind of got to watch out for. But I think in terms of the March core update, not as monumental as the September 2023 helpful content update, but a big one. And I'm anticipating an update any day now. It could even start today.
Oh no, we'll have to check.
We'll have to check, and I'm hoping for a bit of a recovery from that.
Okay. Would you say their guidelines are strict to the point that you said that livelihoods were everybody was impacted in really big and deep ways, but is it just the case that, and even now is with this March update where we see a slight decline in our content, like are those guidelines just too set? And because it doesn't sound like even trialing and erroring like will help us solve certain issues. It's just kind of like, well, we'll wait till the next update and give it time, because time is on our side always, but it just sounds kind of stressy. I don't know.
I think what you've got to do really is, and it's hard for some people to accept this, but you've got to deal with Google in good faith and assume that they mean what they say. Yeah. Often it seems like it's the opposite, and the guidelines actually don't play out in the search results. You see that quite a lot. Certainly Reddit's a great example of this. There's kind of joke or like meme threads from Reddit that will be ranking very highly for queries around finance or health or insurance or.
That's so curious.
So there's some inconsistencies there, but if you do kind of approach Google in good faith, then it really does go back to just the fundamentals of expertise, authority, experience, and trust. And I think if you can convey a level of experience, real world experience in your content, then it should perform well. Where I think a lot of publishers have made a mistake is probably scaling too quickly. Yeah. So let's say you were a product review website or a travel website. This was a big niche that got hit. So travel website, is it possible for one person to visit 200 different countries and do write-ups on it? Probably not. But a lot of people try to do that. Yeah. And that's where if there's a lack of authenticity or a lack of first-hand real-world experience, you will be punished. And I think Google's been very clear about that in the last couple of core updates that they've ran. So that's got to be the number one focus now for publishers. And that means doing more things like getting people in your company to write content on the subject. Yeah. People with real world experience, your product managers, if they understand the product, get them writing about it or at least interview them. You've got to kind of bring that through. It's not enough now just for a team of copywriters to write content. Yeah. You've got to go out and speak to people who actually understand the customer problems and how the product works.
Which I think we do quite well.
It's our whole ethos here. Yeah, absolutely. And we speak to our community members. We get them to write content for us, interview, come on podcasts, speak at events. That's really the key. I think that's why we do so well.
Yeah.
Because we're not a content factory, just keyword stuffing and trying to scale. We're trying to solve problems for customers and actually help people.
Agreed.
And that should be correlated with search engine rankings.
Thanks for sticking with us till the end. So, what did you think? If you found this video useful, why not give us a like? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content like this. See you next time.